Oh boy, I can't believe this, man. This is just...
What is up, everybody, and welcome to the Forever Green Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Seamus Zarlingo. Alongside of me today, Nick Franco, where he's cracking open a cold one for the boys because, folks, if you see on the bottom of the screen right now, major news in the NBA per Shams Charania, breaking: LeBron James is signing with the Philadelphia 76ers on a 2-year, $8 million deal with a player option. Clutch Sports Group and Clutch CEO and Game Over show host Rich Paul tells ESPN. So Rich Paul getting a lot of Clutch Sports Group and Clutch CEO and Game Over show host Rich Paul getting a lot of praise in there. But LeBron James on his way to Philadelphia.
Rich Paul took full advantage of that. He took full advantage of this offseason.
It's like us. We're like graphics engineer, host, producer, director, owner. Just add in all of the titles. All of them.
It's like our on our Instagram page, our introductory post.
That's exactly what I thought about. That is exactly what I thought about. But LeBron's now going to have an introductory post with the Sixers.
He already did, with dreams and nightmares in the background. It's already out on Instagram.
When this came across the ticker, the screen, first off, I thought of a text I sent to my great friend Dylan yesterday, and I said, Philadelphia, no, at 90 cents. He's not going to Philly. Well, why would he go to Philly? There are too many cooks in the kitchen, as you said the other day, in regard to another situation. But that's what we can say about this one, too, is how many cooks in the kitchen does Philadelphia have now? LeBron James, Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, Jaylen Brown, VJ Edgecombe.
And are you talking about on the court or in the locker room?
Both. Because this team right now that the Sixers have assembled compared to what they had last year, specifically in 24-25. 24-25, they were 13th in the East, floundering with Paul George and Joel Embiid, who seemingly couldn't even play on court with 2 large contracts. And now they're sitting here with Jaylen Brown, LeBron James, Maxey's an emerging star, Edgecombe's an emerging star, and they still have Joel Embiid, if anybody's excited about that. But the Sixers, to turn around their situation in this way, I'm not completely convinced it's going to work on court to the point in which they're winning a championship, but to turn it around in such a way. I mean, think about where the Celtics fan base is right now. They're down in the dumps because Jaylen Brown's gone. The Sixers fan base, they're up here. They're way up. It doesn't matter what the results may be on the court at this point. The fact the Sixers fan base gets to don a LeBron James jersey, a Jaylen Brown jersey, they're happy today. They're happy this summer. They're happy this month. I can't. This is another NBA transaction. How many transactions throughout the off seasons, the last 2, have we just been completely floored at? Since the Luka Doncic trade, it's like the NBA changed hands of power. Like Adam Silver went, okay, I'm just going to take over and I'm going to send everybody to where I want them to go for the most drama, because that's what we've received.
And he's not making it predictable on us anymore. It's not, as an analyst, it used to be very almost, you could tell the path of where something was going, but it's really just went completely opposite, and it makes you question where the general management and front office's heads are at when most of these moves come across the table. And it's really hasn't been the logistical thing to happen at all this offseason when it comes to any of these situations. You usually can understand where a move is coming from. Like, for example, with Giannis, it was almost Miami was almost out of question when it came to Giannis because they didn't have the assets. It was a more logistical move for Milwaukee to look for somewhere elsewhere, and one of those places would have been Boston, where they could have worked in a third team to get the assets to acquire a Giannis Antetokounmpo. Then you look over at the move that started all of this was the Luka move. completely out of left field. We could have seen Anthony Davis being moved at that trade deadline, but there were really no talks about Luka other than the management's underlyings with his weight, his work ethic, and things of that sort, and questioning his ability to lead a team. And it was something that was kind of brushed over before that move even happened. But looking at this LeBron move, it was almost a perfect storybook ending for LeBron. If he went back to Cleveland,
Perfect storybook ending. This right here.
no, Cleveland would have been
Okay, yeah.
that he would have the beginning part of the book would have been in Cleveland. The plot would the middle of the plot would have been in Cleveland, and the end of the chapter would have been in Cleveland. However, he is ending in Philadelphia around a team of personalities and also other talent that will make it for LeBron. Probably one of the better teams to go to for what he is looking for. He is not looking to be that one that is carrying the load anymore. Look at Embiid, he's going to be lightening his load, and then you look at Edgecombe, Brown, and Maxey. They're going to be young players. Well, Jaylen Brown still in his prime. Players that are still able to manage creating, being a productive part of the roster and being able to create opportunities for themselves rather than dish them out. But we're going to probably see LeBron take a back seat in the offense and be more of a less contributing factor. And I mean, poor Jaylen Brown wanted to go to a team to be the number one option. How is that panning out for him?
He might be the fourth option right now. Because you'd have to imagine the Sixers are going to put the ball in the hands of Tyrese Maxey and LeBron James to run the offense. Joel Embiid is still going to be a huge factor within the offense if he, of course, is able to actually play. A huge factor with Joel Embiid, but he's going to be down low, and that leaves Jaylen Brown where? On the perimeter, looking for shots, potentially standing in the corner, along with VJ Edgecombe, who also wants to get his as a rising star going into his second year. Proved a lot in year one. But if anything indicates LeBron is ready to be a role player, and I don't want to say role player because he's still going to be a starter, but a more role player-esque player than he's been his entire career, because let's face it, he's been the best team or the best player on his team up until the point in which really you could say Luka Doncic joined the Lakers. Now, there were moments with the Lakers beforehand with Anthony Davis where you'd say, whoa, Anthony Davis is maybe the best player on the Lakers. Say 2020. That was 6 years ago, though. But I will say, if there's any indication that LeBron James is willing to take a little bit of a step back when it comes to his actual basketball responsibilities, it's this tweet LeBron James released about an hour ago here. And LeBron, what's interesting is he's a premium Twitter user, yet he releases this tweet in bursts as if it's still 2012. I mean, LeBron, can someone tell him he can write all this in one tweet now?
Father. He's just like anyone else's dad.
I mean, he's 42, folks. He's going to be 42 this season. By the time the playoffs come around next year, be 42 years old. You got to remember that. But here's what LeBron James said on Twitter when this news dropped on the timeline. And this is kind of shocking. This is quote LeBron. I thought I was done when the season ended. I wasn't ready to announce it, and I knew I needed some time to really decide. But I was pretty sure I played my last game. I was honest at that last press conference when I said I needed to look at myself and decide if I still love this game. I still truly love this game, and I have more to give. The last few weeks have been really special. I've never been able to have no clue what to do and take real time to just think. I've had an incredible few months with all the people I love trying to figure it all out. This is my last decision. I'm not going for money. I'm not going for family. What I'm really playing for at this point, question mark, I still want to sacrifice. I still want to work. I still want to grind. I still want to compete, to win, and to have a chance at the feeling of winning another championship. I believe I can help make this Philadelphia 76ers a championship team, and I am so excited to energize a new fan base and start this incredible journey one last time. Thank you, LA. Miami, I'll forever love, and Northeast Ohio will always be home, with a couple of emojis at the end. A little choppy there because the tweet's broken up. But LeBron James, clearly looking at winning another championship with the Sixers roster, believes Sixers made the second round last year, added Jaylen Brown, well, really swapped Paul George for Jaylen Brown in the offseason, and takes a 2-year deal with the Sixers worth $8 million. And that second year is a player option for LeBron James. But LeBron essentially decided here, willing to take a minimum salary and willing to take a back seat, potentially within a rotation that looks as star-studded as this one. And they said on ESPN just moments ago that LeBron was picking between many different destinations, some of which we weren't even really in the loop of when it was happening. We were thinking Miami, Cleveland, Philly was actually a long shot. He wasn't going back to the Lakers, and it was basically down to Miami, Cleveland, or Philly. We heard about Minnesota. We had heard about a couple of other teams in there when Shams went on ESPN and explained the whole ordeal. But LeBron, clearly when salary wasn't a factor, he was just going to pick the best place possible in terms of himself and his pursuit for a championship. And LeBron James decided that was Philadelphia, and I can't blame him. You look at the Heat roster, there's some questions of depth there. You look at the Cavs roster. How good is that Cavs roster really? The Sixers roster, a lot of stars at the top. I question the depth a little bit, but the amount of stars on this roster, and upcoming stars nonetheless. Still have Maxey there, Edgecombe upcoming, Brown, Embiid, very established. We all know what LeBron can do. This is going to be a formidable roster in the East, no matter how you slice it. But I do question if it can work out for all 4 rounds and look as efficient as we think it could see. And I'd say, as we could see it. I don't see this as an efficient team. Others might, but I don't.
I dispute that. I saw Cleveland as a much more practical roster for LeBron to be able to excel in the role that he is looking for. And not only just for the hometown aspect of all, but being able to play next to Mitchell and Harden and Allen and Mobley. Those are players that really do have their roles set. LeBron wouldn't have to worry about being a paint presence in Cleveland. He wouldn't have to worry about being the lead scorer in Cleveland. He would only have to worry about being LeBron James, dishing the ball out, and bringing his IQ to the court. In Philly, he is now the 4. He is now going to be playing down low, and he is going to be expecting to probably have a heavier load on his shoulders because
I actually think I think it's opposite of that. I think he actually looks at Cleveland and Miami and says, Miami, it's me and Giannis. In Cleveland, it's me, Mitchell, and Harden. And even there, you're thinking Mitchell and Harden and LeBron. How is that going to work defensively if you actually, think about the whole court? But in Philly, he's thinking, well, man, at the very least, if Embiid's injured, if he's not manning the offense, then it's going to be Maxey. And if it's not Maxey, it's going to be Brown. And even if it's not Brown, it could be Edgecombe. So I think actually in Philly, he's looking at it like, wow, I could really, he's going to take a lot of responsibility as a ball handler and a playmaker in that offense. But he also sees a world where he can step back, let these other guys cook, and he doesn't have to exhaust himself at 41, 42 years old, which we've honestly never seen. We don't even have data for this. This is uncharted territory. This is uncharted territory to the greatest degree. Even Robert Parrish and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, we can't really even, they were centers. Like we don't know how 41, 42-year-old LeBron is really going to look in, this year, next year. Is a fall really coming? I don't want to throw that out there, but I do think the Philadelphia situation, he actually has less responsibility, but he has more responsibility to make the team fit, if that makes sense.
Yes, but, on court, Embiid's out. Who's playing center? He's going to have to swap in with Huck Porty. It's going to be him, Huck Porty. LeBron is now the 4. There is enough wing and guard depth in Philly. He's now going to be viewed as more of a forward, slash stretch four. And there are going to be times that he is going to have to match up against the center because of injuries in Philly, because that is almost a given that Embiid's going to be missing a solid chunk of time. Hopefully not, because I want to see him out on the court as much as we possibly can. But if history shows anything or history states anything, he is going to be heavily relied on to play larger minutes and also a larger role, not in the sense of in the offense or in the defense, but physically, he is going to be expected to be boxing out more. He is going to be expected to be down low in the paint. He's going to be expected to be cutting to the rim more. He's not going to be standing off to the side. Sure, on offense, he can be the primary ball handler and set up a lot of opportunities for players like Maxey, Brown, Embiid, Edgecombe, and Brown. It's going to be challenging for him to do that, but he's going to have a lot more responsibilities, and there's going to be a lot more tread on the tires than there would be if he was playing for Cleveland. Because
I don't know if I agree with that, because I think in Cleveland there are actually less guys to go out and do all those other intangibles,
but if you're LeBron,
such as rebounding, such as scoring inside. I mean, you have Jaylen Brown, you have Tyrese Maxey, you have VJ Edgecombe. I mean, those guys you would expect to be better rebounders, finishers around the rim. I mean, obviously, those guys at this point in their career more athletic than LeBron, more uppity, more jumpity than LeBron. Joel Embiid and LeBron. That's where I do question this team from a standpoint of, do they have enough athleticism in general, though? Because say Maxey, Edgecombe, Brown. This is where I'm just like, too many cooks in the kitchen. I'm sorry. They're building the 2018-19 Celtics all over again, where this looks amazing with Kyrie, Hayward, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, Terry Rozier, Marcus Morris, everyone, Aaron Baines off the bench, Shimmy Ojale. But I'm kind of questioning right now, like, okay, Maxey and Brown specifically. So Edgecombe, to me, is a young guy who should be doing all the little things on a basketball court, all the little intangibles, because he's not really totally proven in this league yet. So he's still on that level of, all right, you're going to get the coffee, Edgecombe. Like, you're going down to Starbucks, okay? Before you're fully in these meetings, like, you're going down to Starbucks first. We know your potential, Edgecombe, but you're still getting the coffee compared to who's on this team. So I see Edgecombe as somebody who's going to do, the more all-around thing for the Sixers, or play a more all-around role. But Brown and Maxey's still a younger guy, but Brown's all of a sudden inching into his 30s. And I thought with the Celtics, we saw him take a little bit of a step back from a rebounding perspective, from just a pure athleticism. I'm going to play both ends of the floor. Like, with the Celtics, he's the number one option, or at least he was last year with Jason Tatum out of the lineup. And now with the Sixers team, all of the little intricacies of the game in which he wasn't doing, I shouldn't say he wasn't doing them with the Celtics, but doing less with the Celtics because he owned more responsibility on the offensive end of the floor. Now his offensive responsibility is less, talking about Jaylen Brown. He's now going to be asked to do more of the little intricacies of the game. And I just wonder, okay, is he really in that stage of his career that's really where he was back in 2019, back in 2020 with the Celtics? 6 years ago, 7 years ago, is Jaylen Brown really going to be able to play in that role? And that's what just confuses me about all this is Embiid. Embiid is a player, he's making max money here, super max money to be exact. He's not necessarily a well-rounded player. He plays in one style that dictates how a team wants to or should play with him. Like Embiid, you're not going to be playing a fast-paced style of game. Like this is gonna be a half-court team, because Embiid, LeBron, they're half-court players. They're not transition players, and that's another part of this conversation is transition and transition buckets. NBA teams have found out, if you're coming up with steals, deflections, getting wide open looks in transition, I mean, those are the highest percentage shots in the game. A defense is trying to get set and you're getting a wide open layup at the rim. The Sixers might actually receive less of those opportunities than what the most efficient team or built team calls for in this era of the NBA. But that's what confuses me is Maxey and Brown, it's like they could be taking, like, their responsibility is going to be somebody of now what a Walsh, a Shireman, a Harper Jr. is doing to some degree in terms of the rebounding aspect, the standing in the corner, hitting shots, right? And you look at the rest of this roster, Anthony Simons is in this equation. If anybody
Yep.
forgot about him, Anthony Simons is here too, folks.
LeBron Pylon.
I just the bench does not give me much confidence that this team. I just don't see them having enough athletic wings, versatile wings who can defend, and then on the offensive end of the floor play the perfect role. Because
There's
you're
only like
technically
this
saying
one.
like Brown should be that guy, but his pay grade is way beyond that. His status is way beyond that. Edgecombe's still trying to make it up there, so he's gonna be in that category. I've never been impressed with Dean Wade, to be honest. Like he's been fine at times. He's a little inconsistent for me.
There was
Phylon's a rookie.
random
Barlow's
game that he
fine. I like
played.
Huck Porty, but he's a center. Watford is not like they're the back end of the roster. They're hoping there's a Ron Harper Jr., a Hugo Gonzalez,
But
a
who's going to fill
Baylor
in for
Shireman with
Embiid?
some of these guys, but I don't necessarily see it.
Losing Drummond, I think that was a big
And Grimes and Oubre. I think Oubre and Grimes would have played perfectly alongside of this roster, but they don't have him anymore.
Yeah,
And they couldn't re-sign him.
Yeah, they had some pretty substantial losses, and that was the team that beat the Boston Celtics. Now they lose that chemistry aspect that was really gelling together. You had that core together for a few years at that point. And it's seeming like they were able to. Well, I would say that they probably maxed out their capacity with that roster once they reached New York, because New York showed that they really just don't have enough firepower to
They had like
advance
6
past
guys.
them. Right.
Like New York, once we got to the finals, we realized, whoa, they legitimately have 10 guys they can play right now.
Yeah.
And in that series, the Sixers really only had 6 guys. And when Embiid was hurt, it goes down to 5. And then you're relying on Paul George heavily, which, don't get me wrong, great addition for the Celtics. But in that spot, when he's the number one option, you're going, 36-year-old Paul George, number one option for the Sixers, not enough.
Yeah.
Against the team who just beat the Spurs.
And Philly, I think that this is probably their last push with Embiid. I would think that that's the next piece to fall out of here.
You don't think they're trying to salary dump him right now? Like, this looks great on an ESPN graphic and everybody's going crazy, but Embiid, that's what also confuses me about this. Embiid makes the largest salary on the team, and theoretically you're thinking he's going to be part of the focal point or the focal point of the offense, the way he plays and how much, demand of attention he brings on the court and his skill set.
Man.
But it does feel like he's being a little like shoved to the side a little bit, where it's like, we got Jaylen Brown, we have Maxey, we have Edgecombe, we just signed LeBron, and also we have Embiid. It's like Embiid used to be the face of Philly, the MVP 3 years ago. And now it just feels like, I think this roster might actually be better if you were to like trade Embiid for Keita and just, you know what I'm saying? Like, right. I actually think like if you were to go out and get Mitchell Robinson and Keita, I sound like such a Celtics homer right now. Like, well, if they had these guys who fit perfectly on the roster, they would just be.
Want to know who I'll give a quick shout out to? Randy Elfman 3 years ago. Namias Keita is better than Joel Embiid.
I think we have gone full circle with this, and unintentionally, nonetheless. I mean, that's basically the take I just gave out. I mean, I wouldn't say Keita's better than Embiid, because we saw last year in the playoffs, like Embiid scorched earth with Keita and Garza and everybody on the floor, Vucevic. Yeah. But Embiid, it does, like, I think the Sixers would be happier if he just wasn't involved in this equation and his money wasn't on the books. I think that would be better for the Sixers from a basketball perspective. But when it comes to selling jerseys, going on tours, the tour dates, like the schedule is really a big line of tour dates if you really think about it.
$1,000 to get into TD Garden for the first regular season game of 76ers versus the Celtics.
What do I think the get-in price will be?
What do you think it is?
For the preseason game?
Regular season. We'll do the regular
season. We'll go regular season. Just a get-in price.
I'm gonna say over 500.
I was thinking like a little under 5, like 3, 4, cheapest, like cheapest.
Touching the back walls.
Yeah, like you're
You're
right
up
up
in the
against him.
banners.
I mean, you're getting out your monocle, your glasses, your binoculars, everything else. But but I
Jalen
had this
Brown's
question.
return.
This question
LeBron.
though. Over under 20 games. Embiid, Brown, Maxey, and Edgecombe play together.
The starting lineup. How many times can they present that starting lineup? Over
So what
under
we
20.
have who's in the starting lineup?
Maxey,
Embiid,
Edgecombe, Brown, James, Embiid.
Brown, Maxey, Edgecombe, and LeBron. So equation. Over under 20 games, they appear together. Uh-oh. We're on a cliffhanger. Oh, he's back.
Let's go with, I think we see it less times than we saw the Kyrie, JB, Gordon Hayward, Tatum, and Horford lineup. So how many games was that?
I don't know. I was thinking like the Nets with KD, Kyrie, and Harden. And I'm thinking like this is kind of feels like a situation a little bit like that where we're just gathering all these stars who we're not really sure can all play at once. And not only from a fit perspective, but also just availability. Over under 20 games. Like I actually think it's gonna be under
And
for sure.
also another thing that we can take into perspective as Boston Celtics fans that just came across my mind is the Philadelphia 76ers championship window is now. What are the 76ers going to look like in 2028 now and in 2031 when those picks become effective?
Well, I think the Sixers are in a much better spot right now than they were in, say, a year and a half ago, because a year and a half ago, you're thinking the Sixers have just completely demolished this period of time in this next window. They've completely closed it shut with the Paul George signing, culminated on top of the Embiid extension. That happened in the same summer, 2024. The summer of 2024, that was going to be a fateful time for the Sixers, and a fateful time in a negative way, sending them the wrong way because the Joel Embiid extension, that looked horrible right off the bat when he plays 19 games the next season. You just gave a supermax extension to a guy who nobody understands whether or not he can be on court for a full season anymore. That's still a factor within Embiid. We don't know if he can play a full season. And then Paul George kind of fell off a cliff. Going from the Clippers to the Sixers, fell off a cliff. Yes, there were injury concerns, something going on there. You know, the new team, everything. But the Sixers were in a place where they had just handed out two of the worst contracts in the NBA over the summer of 2024, and it immediately looked like that once the 24-25 season hit. I mean, immediately it was like, oh, we're shutting down Embiid and Paul George for the playoffs, and it was a disaster. I mean, they held the same record as the Wizards through 15 games of the season. They were 13th in the East at the end of the year. That's eventually how they got Edgecombe into the equation. But you look at their situation now, LeBron James is joining the Sixers to go out and win a title and believes he can do so. And the Eastern Conference, let's face it, the Eastern Conference is wide open right now. Yes, the Knicks just won the conference and won the championship, but you wouldn't say the Knicks are unbeatable. And it gets harder as time moves on. Mitchell Robinson, no more. Ariel Hukporti, no more. Immediately as the offseason hits, the Knicks roster actually gets worse. And they weren't exactly the clear favorites last year. And I just don't see the Knicks as an unbeatable team. And that brings you to other squads. The Celtics, we saw their flaws. You go down to the Miami Heat. We don't really know what they're going to fully look like with Giannis yet. You have this hodgepodge of teams. What's interesting is I went through yesterday and tiered out the East, and I said, well, and I even said this on a live, if I'm not mistaken, the Cavs and the Sixers, LeBron used to swing title odds from a team was 10th in a conference to now they're first. Now teams kind of go from 7th to 4th to 3rd, maybe somewhere in there, specifically in the East. The Sixers, Cavs, all these teams, they're going to own a shot. And that's where LeBron feels as if going to Philadelphia now, he's legitimately adding to a situation he believes
I think
can
I
go
bet
out and win the East.
if we go check the betting odds, I bet you Philly's the consensus #1 right now in the East.
You know what's funny is yesterday the Celtics were actually the favorite. Let's go look. Let's go look. Let's go take a look here. What do we who do we want to shout out on the betting markets here? Although I bet the odds are not totally, they might be shut down for the
know what?
Sixers.
We're gonna run a promo for ourselves. Any live advertisers or any businesses or companies that are looking to promote their betting odds or betting stats, go look at this banners right here, and there's free spots. Advertising is available for Forever Green Sports. Please give us money.
There's many places here. So loading up some FanDuel futures, which if we can, let's see, NBA championship odds. Okay, folks. Okay, the Philadelphia 76ers have officially moved in front of the Boston Celtics. And I misspoke. I believe yesterday was actually the Knicks over the Celtics. So the Celtics weren't first in the East yesterday. They were second. Now they're third. So right now we have the Knicks at the top, Sixers right below the Knicks, and then the Celtics. What's interesting is right after the Celtics, it's the Toronto Raptors. And I'm sorry, folks.
Kawhi's not even a Raptor yet.
I'm going with Toronto no here because exactly what you just said. Kawhi isn't a Raptor yet. We don't know what the investigation will entail. Kawhi might be suspended. Who knows? And let's face it, Kawhi's never been healthy in the playoffs the last 5 years. There's no data over the last half decade of Kawhi ever being healthy in the playoffs and making it out of the first round. And the Raptors, seriously, fourth in the East. Like they might, to me, they could be playing team in the East. I think that's where the Raptors could legitimately be. They have them fourth here, but this conversation isn't about the Raptors. It's the Sixers. And anyway, I would buy against the Raptors right now. And I would also buy the Jazz. Just saying, folks. Buy the Jazz, sell the Raptors. Every other so I made tiers yesterday and went through the championship odds. Most of them aligned. Where I'm going, okay, like this is where I had this team and here's where the odds are. The Raptors and the Jazz stood out as two teams where the Jazz were way lower than I thought and the Raptors were a lot higher. So just in terms of that, just giving out that tidbit of information. But now I feel like the Sixers are a little overpriced here because again, looks great on an ESPN graphic. What does it look like on court? I am very confused as to what this roster is actually supposed to look like. Even off the bench, Anthony Simons, LeBaron Philon, those are two guys at their respective locations before joining the Philadelphia 76ers in transactional ways that played with the ball in their hands. That's kind of their big things. Like Philon can come in as a spark plug, sixth-man scorer. Same thing with Simons, yet you already have that all over your starting lineup, all over the place. I shouldn't say spark plug scorer, but guys with the ball in their hands. I just don't understand who's supposed to play off ball here. Maxey, Brown,
someone's going to
like mad. Those guys, like LeBron's going to have the ball. Embiid, I don't know how Embiid fits in all this really. Like Embiid's kind of I'm thinking like Embiid and LeBron, they're going to play. Philadelphia is going to play in a special way to accommodate Embiid and LeBron. Because they're kind of they're kind of the elders of the family where you're going, okay, like let's go up the ramp with Grandma on her walker here because Embiid, can he play 40 games in a season? His knee's always messed up. He can't play a fast-paced style of game. LeBron James is going to be 42 years old next time the playoffs come around. So those two guys, you're almost accommodating them like your elders of a family when you go out to a restaurant, like, all right, Grandma, like, come on, like, my grandma, she's pretty sweet. She moves, but like others, like I don't know. As for everybody else, if you're looking to maximize their potential, it doesn't feel like their potential is actually being maximized if you're going to accommodate LeBron and Embiid within this offense. And then it leaves up to question like, is there enough responsibility for Jaylen Brown? Is there enough responsibility for VJ Edgecombe, who's on the rise as a star. I'm thinking VJ Edgecombe's agent, I'm not sure. He might be with Clutch, but whoever is managing VJ Edgecombe can't think this is all that great for him. They probably think, yeah, there are a lot of stars you can learn off of, and this is a great situation. Tour dates, blah,
Edgecombe
blah,
would have
blah.
been better off in Boston after the Jaylen Brown trade, probably, for his own career, at least.
Yeah, I think that's an actual good take right there, because in this particular Philly offense, it's like Edgecombe, he's trying to get to his max deal. How is he going to get there with 4 guys standing in front of him? Like that's a legitimate issue for him
2 of them
in terms
already
of getting
on
paid in his
super max
career.
deals.
And see, by the time Edgecombe, I will say, by the time his deal were to kick into place, let's see, Embiid would be gone. So all this, at a certain, so Embiid would be gone. Maxey, you would think, would be extended. What is Jaylen Brown? Is he going to be gone at that point? Do they keep him around? We don't really know what the results are going to look like there. This team's going to look very different by 2029. I'll say that. They basically have no commitment past 2029 outside of non-guaranteed Dean Wade money and a team option on LeBaron Philon, who are the 2 offseason additions for Philly before LeBron James. But I just, looking at this entire team, I go, are there enough athletic wings here? And is there a situation too, you're kind of looking at it going, you could trade Dean Wade, Anthony Simons, maybe even a Philon at the deadline for a player or a slew of players
A
who might make
backup
a little bit
center.
more sense with this roster, because the bench doesn't really make much sense with this roster. And I want to try to, like, what my brain sees here, like, it's the stacking of efficiency, and it's the stacking of blocks in a way in which you can stack them the highest without using the most blocks or the least amount of blocks to stack them the highest. And that's where I just go, like, Brown, Maxey, Edgecombe. I feel like they're being asked to play roles where they're not optimized, and now they're gonna cater to LeBron and Embiid. And I feel like, again, a lot of star faces, but I feel as if, like, oh, look, this is 100% of what Jaylen Brown could give you, but you're only really getting 20% out of him. This is 100% of what Maxey could give you, but you're only getting 30% out of Maxey in terms of what their actual optimized capabilities are. That's
Right.
just, and I again, with the efficiency, it's like if you're asking Maxey, Edgecombe, Brown to do all the little intangibles of the game, the little hustle plays of the game, defending on one end of the floor, rebounding on both ends. I just look at them and I go, are they the best players to do that? Like, their best capabilities are with the ball in their hands, scoring, being the number 1 option in a certain way. And yes, like, there's an all-around nature to these guys' games, but are they optimized? Like, is
Right.
this roster optimized with those players not giving out their best intangibles and falling into categories in which they might not be filling if they were, say, on the Boston Celtics or on another team out there? I do look at it from a basketball perspective, and LeBron James would probably be like, "Oh no, blah 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 about this, and this is why this would work." And he's a basketball genius, so I can't necessarily
We're not going to
knock
go
what
toe to
LeBron's
toe
going to
with
say.
LeBron
But
in
let's face it,
arguing.
LeBron wanted Russell Westbrook back in 2021. So even then, it's like, is LeBron the best judge of who his most efficient teammates should or will be, or where the most efficient situation is? I'm not totally certain of that. We've seen him
And
play with Carmelo Anthony and Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis and Rondo and the
that,
21-22 Lakers.
that
That's
roster
basically
was
the explanation here.
those rosters were so much fun.
Dwight Howard.
The LA Lakers and Brooklyn Nets during
Why
that
don't we just
full
add Dwight
stretch.
Howard into this situation? He played
I,
with the
I,
Sixers,
I'll
played with
always,
LeBron in LA, won a championship there.
I always used to push for, and honestly, he would probably be a great, or not a great, but he would be a backup to fill in the Embiid moments when he's out. So who knows? But yeah, looking at Philly, the number one thing is we're looking at the situation on the court, and we're hearing about these troubles that will most likely arise on the court, might lead to some deficiencies on the court, who's going to throw the bitch fest first? You have a room full of people who are notorious for throwing bitch fests. You got LeBron in there, you got Embiid in there, and you have Jaylen Brown with his streaming podcast now, who's caused heat with every single person that has played on the roster. We were comparing him to the Odysseus. He's poked the Cyclops eye out with the fire stick, and he claimed to do it as the Cyclops was yelling out, "Who did this to me?" Now he's in face to face with those guys in the same locker room. Embiid has had issues with Brown calling him out for the flopping, and most recently pointed out was the time that LeBron had serious issue with Jaylen Brown calling out Bronny James Jr., and we'll see if he ends up in Philly at some point this offseason somehow. But
is that not the biggest, like, the Lakers love Bronny? Really? I just don't. I feel like it's like a face-saving move where it's like, well, actually, we love Bronny from the get-go. This had nothing to do with LeBron because he's gone and Bronny's still here. It's like, are you guys just saving face by
they're just going to keep
Bronny right now?
They're expecting to keep Bronny for the next 23 years.
They do still have LeBron James, technically, the Lakers. They just minimize the amount of them they had this summer.
But what we to call back to an earlier comparison to the 2018-2019 Celtics, Kyrie Irving got upset. Team wasn't performing up to expectations. Right now, they're projected to be the number 1 seed, clear consensus Eastern Conference Final champion team that is on a clear path to the NBA Finals per the betting odds. But what if they're in the 4th seed? What if they're in the 5th seed? What if VJ Edgecombe's not getting the looks he wants? What if Tyrese Maxey isn't getting the looks he wants? What if Jaylen Brown's not too pleased with what's going on? There are so many people in that locker room that have such a primary voice that all it's going to take is for 2 of them to butt heads or to run into an issue that is a disagreement on what's going on the court to have this entire thing fall out from under them.
And I go back to the question I posed earlier. Over under 20 games. LeBron James, Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, Jaylen Brown. Over under 20 games. These guys play together. I'm inclined to go under 20. 20 is actually a lot to get a combo of 5 guys to play together. Now, in the old NBA, you'd say, oh, definitely 20 games. Come on. We could get a starting lineup to play over 20 games. But a 42-year-old and a former MVP who has not played over 40 games the last 2 seasons, even like Jaylen Brown has had his little injury moments.
Yeah, his hamstring still bothering him. We were pointing that out during the playoffs, the knee.
Exactly. And Maxey and Edgecombe, like, I don't feel bad for them, but I almost feel as if like their NBA upbringing has just been like, you look at a child's upbringing, a child's like, oh, you go to school and you're in a stable household and that's how you should come into the NBA. Maxey and Edgecombe, it's like, here are your 2 Supermax guys. Oh wait, they suck. They're no good. We're you guys are our future, but we're not doing anything now. We have LeBron James and Jaylen Brown and everybody, and find your place on this team. It's like, what is going on here? Like, if you're Maxey and Edgecombe, you're thinking, okay, we're probably gonna, like, coming into the league, okay, we're probably gonna play on a team who's not that great, and we're gonna, our responsibility isn't going to be too much early on in our career, and then it's going to incrementally increase, and then we'll be the stars, and then blah, blah, blah. I mean, that doesn't happen for everybody. Everybody has to work towards that, but those are the stepping stones. This is just all over the place. At first, it's, oh, Embiid and Paul George, like, sit behind them, and then it's, oh, you're actually our future, to, wait, now you're sitting behind Embiid, LeBron, Jaylen Brown, potentially in some way. And then after that, you're our future after that as well. This Sixers situation, it 100% reminds me of a team that looks great on an ESPN graphic, but on court, does it really fit? Does it really all make sense together? Is it the most optimized version of a basketball team with these specific players on them a team could possibly build? I don't think so. If you really were to look at all of this, it's kind of reminiscent a little bit of the 21-22 Lakers, although they were a lot older. A lot older. So I'll give the Sixers, there's young guys here, guys in their prime. So there's that. 2018-19 Celtics and Warriors, I'll say, with DeMarcus Cousins. A little bit there, like lacking a little bit of depth, lacking the necessary pieces around him. Like they were a great team, don't get me wrong, but they lost to the Raptors in the finals due to injury, of course. But look at that squad. I'm trying to compare another, star-studded roster. That
Well, it's
form that
only
the Knicks in 2016 with Derrick Rose and Joakim Noah and Courtney Lee and Carmelo Anthony, the
yeah,
super team Knicks. Like,
yeah.
it doesn't quite. I like that's underwhelming. This is a little bit different.
Right.
Like,
It's
this
something
is
that's only new to this decade because we really haven't seen this happen until that 18-19 Warriors began with. I would even say that the DeMarcus Cousins minimum signing when he went to the Warriors was the first time we really saw a superstar take such a cut to go to the team. Unfortunately, the injuries that were in his career prior affected that, but that was when DeMarcus Cousins signed with the Warriors. We were still under the impression that we were still looking at DeMarcus Cousins. I hate to say it like that, but he was still a prosperous talent and was a player that we thought was going to be able to contribute. And holy, now instead of JaVale McGee or Zaza Pachulia starting, they now have a starting five that could be the starting five in the Western Conference All-Star game. But
2015 Hawks, although they were, LeBron James ending his time in the NBA in Philly. I mean, if you're looking at this from a Celtic fan perspective,
he hates us.
this is just the worst. The worst. LeBron James, who's already one of the biggest adversaries of the Boston Celtics over the last 20 years, with the Cavs, with the Heat, with the Cavs again, then signs with the Lakers. We thought that was bad enough. Then he signs with the Sixers. Like, I can't even fathom. Could anyone form more of a villainous profile to Celtic Nation than LeBron James has formed in his career?
Well,
I mean, this is the biggest villain of Celtic Nation we've ever seen. And I don't even think it's particularly close. Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Kobe Bryant, Pau Gasol. I'm sorry. Like, those don't quite go to the level. Yes, in terms of competition. No, I actually don't think. No, because you add up all the LeBron competition over time, I think it's way more magnified and amplified than any of the Lakers, Sixers rivalries from the past. Like this right now, even though we're not playing final series against the Lakers, or we don't know, a playoff series against the Sixers and LeBron still in the cards, who knows? But this is just another level of I don't know how someone could be more of a villain to Celtic Nation. Like, this is just the worst.
Want to
The
know how
worst.
LeBron could have been is if he signed with the New York Knicks. But I think
that would be especially after winning the title. I think what would be the worst is him signing with the Knicks and then winning the title in which they did last year, or winning back-to-back titles. Or let's just throw it out there, the Sixers could win a title here and oh my gosh. I don't even, if the Sixers win the title,
a New York to Philly back-to-back
with LeBron James basically becoming the final Infinity Stone for the Sixers in that pursuit,
and Jaylen Brown being that final Infinity Stone, this is really, I mean,
Jaylen Brown, yep, yeah, you're right,
yeah,
two-time champion.
And
Embiid gets a ring.
Yeah, wow. We might be seeing the worst case scenario, and
come on, Wemby. Come on.
We
are really Wemby fans now. Come on, Wemby.
I have my Old Testament right here. Heavenly Father, Lord, I pray for the Philadelphia 76ers downfall. I pray for their health. I pray for them to be healthy throughout these trials and tribulations heading into next season so the Boston Celtics can prove their strength and glory above the Philadelphia 76ers and let the Boston Celtics reign upon the Philadelphia 76ers as Joel Embiid has acknowledged within his own past. Amen.
Amen. I mean, that is
we have
majestic.
officially preyed upon the Philadelphia 76ers downfall upon Forever Green Sports.
Well, if it happens, which, part of me does believe, like, okay, at some point in time, we're going to see some tomfoolery here. Like Embiid, we're going to get that Sham Sweet Embiid not playing tonight at the season opener. Already. Or LeBron, LeBron brings a lot of drama and baggage with himself usually. What I'll say about this point in his career, though, is he's not really like this is his final destination, or at least we think he has a player option next year. He goes, this is going to be my final decision. Is it? Could he go back to Cleveland? I mean, I'm with you. Cleveland would have been the perfect storybook ending.
It would have been
Cleveland
a
first,
book.
then Miami, then Cleveland, to LA, back to Cleveland. That just makes sense as a sandwich. Like, oh, you spent time with Miami, LA, LeBron got his big city, big looks in there. And then, he has his hometown of Cleveland, Ohio, Northeast Ohio, beginning, end, and middle of his career. Champion there, of course. Philadelphia, though, that just it kind of like jades the LeBron legacy to me just a little bit, where I really thought he was going to end his career with the Lakers. Like, say a year or two ago, I thought there was no chance. Like, yeah, he's threatening, oh, Cleveland, Cleveland looks good. Ooh, but I wasn't really thinking he was ever going to leave the Lakers because LA is such a big market. It's 75 degrees out there all the time. It's California. Like,
who wants
the
the
money to
vacation
actually
in
live out in California. I'm surprised. Like, but I'd also say, too, if he wins a championship with the Sixers, that'll be 5. He matches Kobe, just another out there. Like, Kobe, LeBron, from Celtic Nation standpoint, it's like, yeah, whatever. But just another factoid that we have to consider in all this. But I'm a little like, how did he come upon this decision? Like the Warriors, and we heard is, oh, the Warriors are trying to get Anthony Davis, and the Cavs and the Heat, they were trying to finagle for other players. Doesn't seem like the Sixers are going to add any other players to this mix unless they trade Jaylen Brown to, not Jaylen Brown. What if they trade Joel Embiid?
I think they're going. That's
Anthony Davis.
That's definitely going to be the next domino to fall. I don't think it's going to be for that. I don't think that
Joel Embiid for Anthony Davis. What if this is chess, man? What if this is chess? He signs with the Sixers, then goes. They have the perfect contract and positional, not need, but perfect contract and position at that contract to trade for Anthony Davis. And now all of a sudden, Anthony Davis is a Sixer instead of a Wizard, and Joel Embiid's playing with the Wizards. And from a Wizards perspective, you're going, Anthony Davis doesn't play. Joel Embiid doesn't play. They're both dominant centers. One's actually been an MVP. Embiid and Trae Young together. Does it really even matter? Just throwing it out there. I wouldn't rule it out.
It's like trading 2 sports cars that have broken transmissions.
that is actually a perfect. That is a perfect.
Hey, you want this Ferrari that doesn't have any
It was like, so Anthony Davis and Joel Embiid. It's like, is there really any? Like, I would want Anthony Davis just a little bit more than Joel Embiid, because with Anthony Davis, I'm like, could we get 65 games? Probably. Versus Embiid, it's like, can we get 45 games? I'm not really sure. So just in terms of that alone, but I do wonder, like, is that in the cards here? Is that because that would really be like, people forget Paul George and Kawhi on the Clippers together. For years we just got used to that. Like, oh yeah, that's what it is. But how that came into fruition, the Clippers were this lowly 8 seed, fun 8 seed, 2018-19 Clippers one of my favorite basketball teams of all time. Lou Williams, Montrezl Harrell, SGA
Pat
as a
Beverly.
rookie, Pat Bev, and that was the year the Celtics were supposed to be title favorites, but they were floundering the whole year at the 4 seed. And meanwhile, after every Celtic game, it was like, the Celtics underperform yet again. All right, time to go watch the Clippers out west. And it's like, oh, the Clippers are coming back once again. Like, just such a fun Clippers team at that time when the Celtics weren't. I don't want to say they weren't very good. Let's just say. I mean, they were fine, but they weren't as good as they should have been. But that Clippers team turned into Kawhi signing, and on the same night, the Clippers are trading for Paul George. Like, this is what this could be, I feel like, where LeBron James signs with the Sixers, and then all of a sudden we're watching Embiid walk out the door to Washington for Anthony Davis. I kind of see it. Like, I could see it. I wouldn't, I'm not telling people it's going to happen, but like, I'd watch out for it.
I wouldn't advise it for either sides, but you know what? They can do them.
The fact they're in business with those players in the first place is just, I mean, Philly drafted Embiid, so there's that. But the fact the Wizards have Anthony Davis, like, you'd think they're probably crazy enough to do anything. Yeah. Like they already have Anthony Davis.
I think the Wizards are going to be an intriguing bottom fourth of the playoffs next year, or play-in tournament team.
Someone on Twitter here said, "Shout out to Jaylen Brown. He complained so much about being a second option, a second option that he became a fourth option instead." Says Shahan Jerajaya. The Philadelphia 76ers. It's a picture of Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe at PSG, which, if I'm not mistaken,
I don't think that went so well.
No, I don't think it did. Let's see. I got the Twitter timeline open here. Draymond did all this dick riding for nothing. Draymond, and it's a video of Draymond laughing at LeBron's phone, like from a month ago, where people were going, it could not have been that funny. Where LeBron's showing Draymond some, and Draymond's go. Let's see where else we got here. Knicks got a ring. Heat got Giannis. 76ers got JB and LeBron. The Celtics got Hugo Gonzalez. Says B Souls.
Yeah. I mean, what heading into final couple of minutes, final thoughts. I mean, Boston Celtics, Jason Tatum, this is his moment to, if he wants to build his arc, this is when he really needs to do so. This season, it all is really relying on him, and this is the best time for him to really put himself out there as a standalone superstar in the NBA, a top 5 player in the NBA. If he wants to be mentioned in the likes of Wemby, Anthony Edwards, and players of that caliber of being the future faces of the league, if he's able to go into a playoff series next year with a Philadelphia 76ers without Jaylen Brown, then he's really cementing himself as that number one option and number one player, and his legacy as an all-time great for the Boston Celtics. So it's really banking on him to do so. I think the Celtics should remain aggressive right now, because it would be definitely good to have something a little bit more to feel better about heading into the season. However, there is a strong chance that they are more than likely not done with their transactions heading into next year. But man, Embiid probably going to be the next one out. It's going to be too many cooks in the kitchen, and someone's going to be a squeaky tire on a car that has 5 tires. And someone's going to have to fall out of it. And ideally, if you're Philly, you want it to be Embiid. And hopefully you're able to dump off Embiid. A team I've always seen Embiid joining is like the Warriors, for probably Kristaps and another player. But looking at what Embiid or Philly has right now, if I don't have any relatives from Philly, I'm glad I don't. Philly and New York have really cemented the FU to Boston in the past year or so. We won the championships, and now they're really starting to get their swings back on us. But
so LeBron pairs back up with D Wade in 2026. Dean Wade, that is, not Dwayne Wade this time.
Remember that one game in, what was it, 2 or 3 years ago that Dean Wade had 45 or something against the Celtics?
It wasn't that much, but he did kill the Celtics in the fourth quarter. It was January of 2024. And that's when everybody pinpointed the Cavs as a team that could take out the Celtics. And then the Celtics just steamrolled them in the playoffs later that year. And it was like, oh, yeah, Dean Wade against this 24 Celtics team. Like, okay, yeah, sure, guys. But usage percentages last year, LeBron, 27%. Maxey, 29%. Edgecombe, 19%. Brown, 35%. Embiid, 32%.
Using my public school education, that doesn't equal 100%.
It equals 142% to be exact. Now, in terms of usage percentages, like when you add up everybody's usage percentages, I don't believe they have to add up to 100% necessarily within this. But what I'll point out here is Edgecombe, 19%. You don't think he's looking to uptick his usage going into his second year a little bit? That's not going to be a possibility now. It's just not. Brown at 35%. That's not going to be a thing. Embiid at 32, you could say like they build the offense around him, maybe. But Maxey, LeBron, like we have to really compartmentalize here that at different points last season. So Brown's the number one option for the Celtics for most of last year, as we know. Maxey really was the number one option for the Sixers most of last year without Embiid in the last 2 years. LeBron, yeah, number two option, I would say, next to Luka, but really a lot of ball handling responsibilities. And let's face it, LeBron's been the number one option all the way to the point where until Luka joined his roster with the Lakers or was traded there. Embiid, he's never been a number two option ever in his career. So you have four players here who have all been number one options as recently as last season at a certain point in time. It's like, how does this, who's for? And somebody, Derek Thompson says here, which if I can find the tweet, I just saw it here. Jaylen Brown wants his own team. Now the 6 funniest words in sports. Because this is not, like, he could be the fourth option on this team. And I think Jaylen Brown's skill set actually calls for him to be the fourth option. Unfortunately. Who knows? They could get a more optimized Jaylen Brown out of this trade. Joel Embiid tweets July 1st, 2014. At King James. Hey, bro. Hope you're having a good day. Want to join us in Philly? ? Peace. So that is when Joel Embiid had not even played a game with the Sixers yet, and LeBron was about to choose Cleveland over Miami. So someone posts here, NBA preview 2012-2013, the Sports Illustrated cover with Dwight Howard and Steve Nash on the Lakers. So the 2012-2013 Lakers, a little reminiscent here, although those guys were just washed. Like Kobe, Powell, Dwight Howard, Steve Nash, we all thought, whoa, watch out for that big four. They were just washed. Same with the 21-22 Lakers. I don't see this team as completely washed, although Embiid and LeBron, maybe. Not, well, I wouldn't say maybe, but like
on their way out.
We're right. Like we're not at our peak anymore. The Miami Heat releasing the press conference a couple days ago. Whoops. Yep. Insider trading, market manipulation.
Now they're looking for someone to be their new director of videography and social media content and development. Hey, Miami, you know what? That's my job title. If you guys want to pay me full time, I will not screw that up. I definitely wouldn't do that, Miami, if you guys are looking to hire.
So Joel Embiid tweets out June 30th, 2018, right before LeBron. This was either right before LeBron signed with the Lakers or right when he did. It was around the time he did. The Lakers are forever going to be Kobe's and Magic's team. Process that. So he was, talking some ish against LeBron right there. What was I going to bring up in regard to this? Andre Drummond says, I'm good where I'm at. So Drummond leaves the Sixers, and he's like, This is kind of weird for Drummond. So Drummond signs with the Knicks, who
And
just
then
won the title. So he doesn't win the title with the Knicks, yet is on the Knicks now, and leaves Philly right before they sign LeBron. And who knows,
he's
like they could
replaced
win the
by Huck
title.
Porty.
Like they could. They basically trade. I would just say this: like the Knicks traded Huck Porty for Drummond in a certain sense, and Mitchell Robinson, I guess, if you want to say that too. But
3-team trade, but
like
Celtics gave
Drummond,
up
you're kind
nothing.
of missing the window here. Like he misses the Knicks title, signs with the Knicks, and then while he's signing with the Knicks, LeBron joins the Sixers where he was just at. So
He's
it's a
always
little
just a season too late.
for him. He's gonna like that's how some people remember guys' careers. Like, oh, did you play with this person? And then you're like, oh no, that window didn't match. Like that happens a lot in today's era of the NBA because guys just are on the move so often and so much. So, oh man, LeBron, I'm gonna go win a ring in Philly. Joel Embiid's knee. It's literally just a really tender turkey, a turkey bone here. Turkey leg. Couldn't find it. Davion Mitchell is hiking in Switzerland in full uniform and carrying a ball. Okay, so that's what's going on with the Miami Heat. What other LeBron? The Miami Heat could now transition to going after Klay Thompson and/or DeMar DeRozan. Like, how about this? DeAndre Jordan, 2 years, 7.8 mil. LeBron James, 2 years, 8 mil. So the Pelicans, DeAndre Jordan situation gets even funnier, how they're somehow paying him the same amount as LeBron now. That is an actual fact in 2026. Brad Stevens refusing to trade Hugo Gonzalez and Baylor Shireman created the butterfly effect that sent Giannis to Miami and Jaylen Brown and LeBron to Philly.
That could be
Okay,
true.
but like I still like where the Celtics are at. Like the Celtics could still win the East.
Yeah.
Are we sure we're gonna see Embiid and LeBron in the playoffs? Like this whole team, like, are we sure this is gonna work out? Like
Oh,
everybody
you
thinks
know we're gonna see that game. That Adam Silver is not gonna allow us not to match up with Philly next year.
let's see here. The Knicks are defending champions. So says Brett Siegel here, who's been doing some phenomenal NBA reporting throughout this offseason. Shout out Brett Siegel. The Knicks are defending champions. The 76ers added Jaylen Brown and LeBron James. The Heat added Giannis. The Raptors added Kawhi. The Pacers have Halliburton and everyone healthy. Then there is the Cavs, Pistons, Hawks, Magic, Wizards, and Hornets as competitive high-level teams. I think we're going to find out some of those teams aren't actually that high level and
I
competitive. They
think
were only
Hornets.
competitive because the East, there was a massive gap last
Yeah.
year. And tanking. Let's face it, a lot of tanking. Like the tanking will not be as rampant this year with the new rules. The Eastern Conference is going to be an absolute bloodbath during the 26-27 season, while the Western Conference is fought between the Spurs and Thunder. That's very true. I was doing my tier rankings yesterday, in which we'll have to get to another time in another pod, doing a whole thing on that. But the tier rankings, it does feel like Spurs, Thunder at the top, then the same kind of mid tier we had last year, the same playing tier we had last year, and the same bottom tier. And then in the East, it's just like, whoa, like just my thing is there are I think the East has a definitive top, a middle, and a bottom. But at the same time, that middle has the potential to go like this, like where
It
you're
has
flipping it
second.
one way or the other.
The middle has
And the
second.
Sixers, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't say the Sixers though. And I said this on one of our pods a while ago. I said, LeBron takes the Cavs from maybe 6-3, the Sixers from maybe 7-4 or 7-3. Like that's where I feel as if like that's how LeBron moves the odds here. I think LeBron has made the Sixers better, but do I
Oh, it's
think they're the
better than
first
Dean
seed in the
Wade.
East? Absolutely not. No way. And you know what I'm finding about the first seed is like it's really who cares most about the regular season and just wants to go and push the throttle because we've seen when's the last time let's see this the Thunder, the Celtics, I get 24 Celtics were 1 seed. Let's see. Last year the Knicks were a 3 seed. The 3 years prior we all had 1 seeds win the title. Then the Warriors were a 3 seed. The Bucks were a 3 seed. The Lakers were a 1 seed. The Raptors were a 2 seed, if I'm not mistaken, that year. They could have. I think they were a 2 seed in 2019. And then you have the Warriors era before that. but I don't see them being a 1 seed in the East. The Sixers here. This is a tweet I wanted to read. Somebody came out with this that I thought was great here. So I think it was from Hardwood Paroxysm. Is that how you say it?
Sure.
How do you say it? I don't know. This was I said it on a pod a year and a half ago, and I've never said it since. And I remember on that pod, I was like, oh, that's how you say it. Paroxysm, hardwood paroxysm. Okay, we're going with that.
We'll take it.
This tweet is from him. Shout out at HP Basketball. I think that would have just been better, easier to say. There is a very strong possibility it's April and Sixers fans are booing LeBron James in his last game. This is a part of this. LeBron is joining an East Coast fan base, that is. Fan club, what is this, soccer? A fan base that can be very harsh. Very ragged. And there's a history of LeBron playing for teams they don't exactly like. The Cavs, the Heat, the Sixers, and Lakers own their own rivalry. We forget the Celtics don't like either one of those teams, the Sixers or Lakers, but the Sixers and Lakers own their own rivalry as well. And now LeBron, if his time in Philly goes awry and there's drama, could LeBron be on his way out in his NBA career in front of booing Sixers fans? That's actually a possibility now.
In Cleveland, that would be unavoidable. He would get a standing ovation no matter what in Cleveland. No matter how that game ended.
Miami is impressed by anything.
Yes, Miami.
Tua was down there forever. It's like, I'm sure they're fine with LeBron.
Yeah, that would have been, man, he really might have screwed up his entire time. This could be legacy ruining. Well, not legacy ruining, but this has the easy potential to be the Michael Jordan Washington Wizards. Like, very easy potential to be that caliber of just a blip of time when 20 years down the line, when we're talking about LeBron James's legacy and we're like, oh yeah, remember when he didn't want to finish off his career in Cleveland and he decided to go to Philly and just watch that team implode on himself, and now he's getting a retirement tour and a foreign team that doesn't give actually most of the time that Philly fans have watched LeBron, they have been booing.
So, well, oh man, what was I going to say about this? I'm reading tweets right now. Well, it's on the subject of that. It's Philadelphia. There's going to have to be some growth of love here. That's what I see. Versus other places, like you already have the love in Miami, 2 titles. You have the love, even if he were to return to the Lakers, the 1 title. Cleveland, title there. So every team he's been with, he's won a title for until now. The Sixers, they've been title hungry. I mean, they're chomping at the bit for a legitimate title contender, and that's where LeBron feels as if in this situation he could equalize Kobe in Kobe's hometown. Nonetheless, I did think about that. With this, I go, he's going back to Kobe's hometown. Just saying. But in Kobe's hometown, wins a title, becomes the hero in Philadelphia. That's what LeBron James, his best case scenario looks like. But if he doesn't do that and the team's underwhelming, like there's not going to be a ton of love for LeBron at the end of this season or even next season. It's a 2-year deal with a player option in year 2. So LeBron, I'm just going to say it right now. LeBron next summer is going to have us up in the air on whether or not he's going to retire. He just said he thought he was going to retire after last season. So I'm assuming like this will be his legitimate retirement tour this season.
This year.
Unannounced. Yeah. But next offseason, we're going to be like, is LeBron retiring? What's going on? And he's going to leave us up in the air with that player option all the way until the date actually comes around. Just saying.
I mean, yeah, honestly, for this decision, I hope this is his last year.
Also,
out of pure spite, this is just like I get it from the whatever standpoint, but this is, I mean, look what this has no comparison to what Kevin Durant did going to the Warriors, but it's a stain. When you make a financial decision to go to a different team, you're not traded to them, and you make the decision to go to the team that just is overstacked, overbearing, and also the team that people were hoping you weren't going to, or were like, why would you go there if you were trying to?
Oh, I believe Franco has ran into some internet issues. I thought it was on my end at first, but I'm looking at it on YouTube right now, and it appears. Oh, we got him back. Franco is back here. Franco is back. Oh, I also want to just throw this out real quick. Shout out to at LJJM_. When the Sixers lose 3 in a row and the Philly crowd start booing them, so Braun starts throwing out a passive-aggressive tweet and Jaylen Brown starts talking about Nick Nurse on his Twitch, I'll be there.
Yeah, Joel Embiid starts complaining. Joel Embiid disappears. VJ Edgecombe,
Joel Embiid out indefinitely with knee soreness.
Yeah.
That tweet's coming from Sean.
Tyrese Maxey becomes Kyrie Irving 2.0, wanting out of there, starts losing his mind because he's not getting enough possessions and he's not being able to prove himself in his career. I would say there is a larger chance of failure than there is success with this process. And this is the last leg of the process, I would say. I mean, sure, you can restart the process with Maxey and Edgecombe and just dump House and somehow move off of Jaylen Brown in a few years, and Embiid is probably the next one out if a championship isn't won this year. But yeah, there's a higher chance of this falling through the cracks than there is of this being something that is looked back on positively in LeBron's career.
No player has ever won an NBA Finals with 4 different teams. LeBron now owns the chance to do so. Also, Legion Hoops tweets out, the Celtics really set the Sixers up to land LeBron James too. Insane domino effect. But Daniel Donabedian, who we actually had on one of our shows a year ago, depending on how the next few seasons go, Brad Stevens can either be remembered in Boston as a basketball guru who was always one step ahead, also a title winner, 2024, set up that title team, okay, just saying, or the guy who supplied a rival with enough talent to end a drought. Which like in some regard, it's like, yeah, would LeBron have chose the Sixers if they had Paul George instead of Jaylen Brown? But that's where I question LeBron. Like, he's a basketball genius. My thing is Paul George might be a better complementary player to all of this than Jaylen Brown. Like, that's what I see from a basketball fit. But LeBron doesn't see it as that. Like, the NBA doesn't see it as that. I don't know why that's the case. I mean, yes, Paul George is 36. Jaylen Brown's 29. He'll be 30 by the time the season gets underway. But I that's where I'm like, the efficiency, like, Paul George, better defender, like, better playmaker, like, he doesn't have to have the ball all the time. His usage percentage isn't high. He's efficient with catch and shoot looks off the isolation attempts if you need him to do that, but he doesn't always want to do that. Wow. So the Sixers, 3rd. See, this is where I'm selling. I'm selling the Sixers and the Raptors right now. LeBron James and Kawhi, the markets are reacting as if it's 2019 again, where, look, literally, It's 2026, folks. Kawhi was just traded to the Raptors. LeBron just signed with the Sixers, and somehow those teams are what? 4th and 6th in title odds. Give me a break. Ahead of teams like the Nuggets, the Timberwolves, the Heat with Giannis. Just saying. I'm not a huge fan of the Pistons and Cavs who they have up here too.
We'll do a full. We got that'll be a pre-recorded episode that will be out for all of our viewers out there in the near future. It's still in pre-production.
Why is everyone saying the pressure is on Brad Stevens? This is where I just feel like the Celtics are actually in a good spot, and no matter like people are connecting a good like, oh, good job Sixers, you turned Paul George into Jaylen Brown and LeBron James. Okay, like great, you probably do that every day if you're the Sixers. I'm not like, I don't know if that brings you to the title, but that's not necessarily connected to what the Celtics have. You know what I'm saying? Like people are connecting like, oh, the Sixers, like watch out, the Celtics, like they're not going to have the juice. The Celtics were ahead of the Sixers in odds yesterday until they signed LeBron. And I'm sorry, but this doesn't make the Celtics worse. Like people are acting as if this makes the Celtics worse. And if the Sixers win, that somehow tells you something about the Celtics. And it's like, oh, you shouldn't have traded Jaylen Brown away. It's like, I actually think Paul George would be better for this team. So just saying. At NBA Central tweets here, Philadelphia wasn't seriously in the mix for LeBron James until the 76ers acquired Jaylen Brown. Again, with the LeBron, I thought he was a basketball genius, yet he's more enticed with a younger, more inefficient player on the roster over Paul George. I'm just going to call it how it is. That's exactly like, oh, he's 6 years younger, but he might be more inefficient for what you guys are building as a team on the court. It's just weird how this all works out. I'm just going through I've been going through tweets for the last 30 minutes here. We were supposed to end at an hour, but had to get Caitlin Clark reacted to all this. She was pretty shocked. Wow. Keith Smith tweets 2 texts, one from a front office exec and one from an agent, basically saying the same thing. Finally, now we can finish the offseason. Expect some other deals to start moving now that LeBron James has picked his next team. Said this the other day. Where's James Harden going? Is he going back to the Cavs? I would imagine, but we haven't heard anything. Just saying.
Now, definitely, I would. DeMar. What are the headlines that will predict? Just names.
DeMar, Russell Westbrook.
We'll be hearing DeMar DeRozan, Russell Westbrook. We could do some predictions on that at some point.
I just saw a Westbrook tweet, but I totally blew past it because I was like, I'm not entertaining. Klay Thompson. LeBron apparently asked Anthony Edwards what would happen if he didn't sign with Minnesota, and Anthony Edwards said it'd be okay because he's going to tear LeBron's head off wherever he goes. So, man, I think Anthony Edwards, like everybody wants to play with Anthony Edwards.
Anthony Edwards needs to get out of Minnesota. He's got to get to a larger market.
An NBA coach reportedly told the Miami Heat to stay away from Russell Westbrook because he's difficult to coach. You know what? Over time, I would say I can't say anything behind the scenes, but when you look at the press conferences, you look at what actually is displayed on a basketball court, like not denying that statement, just saying Russell Westbrook, like you'd think like, oh, if he just plays in this way, like I always remember a game he played against the Sixers with the Wizards back in 2021, and that was the year average a triple-double, went crazy with the Wizards, like the legendary Russ with the Wizards year. But I remember that game, just a disaster class down the stretch from Russell Westbrook, just missed shots, turnovers. Like this is exactly why, he's got to be minimized on a team. That was 5 years ago. Let's see if we got any more other gyms in here. Oscar Tshiebwe on his way to Houston. Okay. So we got that. Cool. But I think Jaylen Brown, Daniel Donabedian has Jaylen Brown on receiving MVP praise from LeBron James back on February 22nd this year. It's an honor for LeBron. It's an honor for LeBron, who's arguably the best player to ever play the game, giving me some high praise. So I'm just grateful I wake up every morning grateful. So I mean, Jaylen Brown obviously very respectful of LeBron. Also, just to bring up with the Sixers some salary numbers here. Right now, the Sixers are at $209.6 million. So they are $9.6 million over the luxury tax line right now. And they are actually only $0.6 million into the first apron. This is according to Bobby Marks's sheet right here. I'm not looking at my own, but I'm looking at Bobby Marks's. So the Sixers, not in an egregious salary spot. And that's, I mean, right now, if we're going to talk about it from a salary perspective, this is why we haven't brought up the salary perspective throughout this pod. LeBron signed for 2 years, $8 million. He's only adding $4 million onto the books of the Sixers this year. If you can't figure out as a basketball team how to add LeBron James for $4 million to your books, you're doing something wrong as a GM or an owner or whoever's making the shots, calling the shots. Jaylen Brown, hashtag throw the ball up. Okay. I don't understand. Yeah, hashtag throw the ball up. I don't know what's going to happen after the ball's thrown up. Just saying, after the tip.
You're gonna expect expect Embiid to come down with it.
The last dance. The last dance. And Jaylen Brown. So yeah, LeBron in his first in his contract with Philadelphia, 27 in 26-27, $3.9 million, 27-28, $4 million on a player option. There you go, folks. There you go. But that's going to do it for us here today on this live. As LeBron James joins the Philadelphia 76ers, I'm in shock. I'm in awe. This is a shock and awe moment. I thought he was going to Cleveland. I thought it would have been ludicrous if he went to Miami. Yet, he went to Philly.
Yep.
Jaylen Brown, LeBron James, now on the Philadelphia 76ers. I got nothing for y'all, folks. Of course, as we always say, thank you all for watching. I'm your host, Seamus Zarlingo, alongside of me, Nick Franco, and maybe, Nick Franco, a little wobbly Nick Franco right now, you might say. Who knows? Who knows? Fired up Nick Franco.
No, just drowning out. LeBron we're going to have to look at LeBron James. Just the final thought, literally just the end-all, be-all of all this, why I'm drinking a beer. We have to see a Jaylen Brown Philadelphia 76ers jersey next year and a LeBron James Philadelphia 76ers jersey next year.
But guess what we also get to see? Jason Tatum in a Boston Celtics jersey on opening night. Something we haven't seen in 2 years. Just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying. But I'll leave us on that, folks. As we always say here, go forever green, but don't be gone forever. Ciao, everybody. Ciao.